I remember seeing this Andean textile in a museum once. It must have been 1,000 years old.
Oh,
And the geometric logic of it it stopped me in my tracks. It wasn't just pretty,
Yeah.
the interlocking patterns, the symmetries, it felt like a diagram.
yeah.
And it just made me wonder, what if this wasn't just a craft? What if ancient weaving was, I don't know, one of the world's first forms of computation?
That's it. That's the exact realization at the heart of this deep dive. We're shifting the frame. We're looking at historical textiles like Andean weaving or Japanese ikat, not just as art, but as a really sophisticated embodiment of algorithmic thinking. The sources really treat the cloth itself as the physical result of a running program.
Okay, so let's unpack that.
Yeah.
How closely does weaving really fit the definition of an algorithm? I mean, it sounds like a perfect fit, but
It's incredibly tight. An algorithm is just a finite, structured procedure that turns an input into an output. In weaving, your input is the threads, the warp, and the weft, and how the loom is set up. The procedure is the set of rules you follow. Over 2, under 1, shift the pattern. That's your code. And the output. It's the finished textile, which is basically a physical record of the algorithm you just executed.
and this is where it gets really interesting, right? Based on Metzler's research, we can actually judge them by their difficulty.
Exactly, by their algorithmic complexity, which is, just the length of the shortest possible set of instructions you'd need to describe the pattern. A simple stripe pattern, very short instructions. But a figurative, multi-layered wari pattern that requires a massive, incredibly complex rule set. The weavers were intuitively mastering something profound.
Let's get specific. The Andean backstrap loom, the weaver's own body is part of the machine, controlling the tension.
Yeah.
That seems so immediate.
It's fundamental to how it works. And the way they encoded information is remarkable. Motifs aren't just pictures. Think of them as macro symbols built from tiny micro operations, these specific thread states and bindings. And you see things like recursion.
Recursion, in weaving.
Yeah. Smaller motifs are replicated and nested inside larger ones. It's almost like a piece of code that keeps calling a smaller version of itself.
So if the weaver is doing this row by row,
Yeah.
and they can see and fix mistakes as they happen,
Yeah.
what kind of computation is that?
It functions just like a modern software interpreter. The instructions are executed instantly, line by line. The weaver can debug the algorithm on the fly. If a symmetry breaks or a thread is off, they see it and fix it right there.
That real-time correction is so powerful. Speaking of powerful planning, if you're looking to figure out where AI agents or custom automation could make the biggest impact for your business, you should check out Embersilk. They can help with AI training, automation, and software development. That's EMBERSILK.do.com.
A great point. Because now we can look at the total opposite approach. Let's talk about Japanese ikat, or kasuri.
Okay, so this is a completely different model. With ikat, the pattern isn't made during the weave, is it?
Not at all. It's a resist-die process. The entire program, the whole design, is encoded onto the threads before they're even put on the loom.
The algorithmic challenge there just sounds immense. You're mapping a 2D image onto a bunch of 1D strings.
It's huge.
Yeah.
And you're relying on perfect alignment later. The stakes are, well, they're incredibly high. If the threads shift even slightly during the pre-dyeing,
The whole pattern is ruined.
it's gone. And the complexity really peaks with double ikat, where both the warp and the weft are pre-dyed. You're calculating 2 separate complex streams of information that have to intersect perfectly at thousands of points.
Yeah.
It's like trying to get 2 rockets to meet at an exact point in space.
Wow. So if Andean weaving is the interpreter executing line by line,
Then Japanese ikat is an offline compilation. The entire complex plan is computed and encoded onto the raw material first. Then, the physical act of weaving it compiles it. It executes the pre-written code.
and what's wild is the continuity here. These ancient pattern grammars, these rules for combining motifs, are the very same things modern AI is now analyzing. And it's what CAD software uses to tell automated looms what to do. The core logic hasn't changed in thousands of years.
It's a direct line, which tells you that the complexity in those ancient textiles, from places like Nazca or Wari, it wasn't just for decoration, it was symbolic encoding. These patterns represented cosmological ideas, social structures.
So it's a reminder that these powerful ideas like logic and computation, they're not just electronic, they're fundamentally human.
Exactly. Expressed first in thread and fiber. It shows us that abstract thinking, finding elegant structure, it's always been part of our toolkit. It's how we make sense of the universe.
That's a really hopeful thought. Our ability to solve problems, to create this kind of structured beauty, it's just inherent to who we are.
A wonderful way to see it. It connects us all.
If you enjoyed this deep dive, Please subscribe to the show. Hey, leave us a 5-star review if you can. It really does help get the word out. Thanks for tuning in.